At this moment, I hope you're doing very well as usual. And on this occasion, I want to take you through an incident that happened very, very recently, somewhere in West Africa, and specifically in the state of Ghana. And I title this incident, I title it as Pan-Africanism and Political Storm in a Teacup. In other words, Pan-African political storm in a teacup in Ghana. We had the news recently that a group of activists, political activists to be precise, decided to have an event in the city of Accra, well, under the banner of Pan-Africanism. And the individuals that were to be the guest speakers, in other words, the event for those is going to be, turn out to be 4 politically active individuals. And here we have Juluis Malema, who is the leader of EFF South Africa. He's a member of parliament looking forward to be the president of South Africa. Of course, why not? And he's a very articulate person, very, very good person. And he believes in what he wants for South Africa. Now, we have another person who is called Peter Obi among the guests. And Peter Obi actually is the person that stood as the real opposition leader against Tinubu in Nigeria. So he's the opposition leader that is vying to be the president of Ghana. In other words, he's the man that is seen to have lost credibly. In other words, he's the real contender, just as you have Juluis Malema in South Africa. So these people are all political activists and therefore politicians. Then you have our Honorable Professor Lumumba. Professor Lumumba is an activist and a politician eyeing a seat. But that finger pointing that somebody, like they said to Jesus, why, do you want to be God? Do you want to replace God? Are you God? Yes. He wants to be God. That is a kind of blackmailing, and we don't want to do that. But Professor Lumumba has been a speaker who goes around on the banner of fighting corruption and bad leadership. And therefore, he wants a different version of justice. It's just like Malema in South Africa and the man Peter Obi in Nigeria. Why not? Professor Lumumba has a right to be what he wants to be, a Pan-Africanist. Of course, we've seen him at the level of the African Union, where he sat down in a gallery having serious debate and blaming the leaders for what is wrong. That is what Professor Lumumba believed. And last among the top-notch, but not the least, is our good great sister, Dr. Arikana Kwau, birthplace Zimbabwe, but based in the United States of America, and now married to a Ghanaian. Kwau, Arikana Kwau is her, what you call her name, marital name. She was formerly the ambassador, the U.S. African Union ambassador or missionary to the United States of America. And when she fell out with the African Union, she's still there in the United States of America. All these three have something in common, apart from Peter Obi, that I've not really had time to look at it because his politics is Nigerian focus, so far as I'm concerned. All the three of them are black supremacists. In other words, they strongly believe in the black race, black emancipation, and that is what they believe and strongly share that in common. Now, look at something. On the day the event was to take place, I think it's 10th of January or something like that, or 7th of January, they were to host it in Accra, Ghana. And the place for them to do this kind of things, which is not politically crime, you can invite any politician, and that democracy allow. But the location is very, very important. Professor Lumumba has been seen going to Ghana in and out, University of Cape Coast, this center, that center. Universities are free. Malema has been invited on countless occasions to Oxford University to go and deliver his speech, sometimes even on all platforms to talk. There's nothing wrong with that. On the day, some few days before the event in Ghana, at the Black Star Square, Independence Square, this place is a place for national events in Ghana. If it's going to be political, it must be national in nature. That is the silent gentleman agreement in Ghana. However, sometimes religious body and so on also go there to do what they want to do. That is assumed to be non-political because it has a big space to have people in. But the only political activities at the Black Star Square or Independence Square, it's one thing. It's for national event and it must be by the state. Here we are. Some hours to the event, the permission, in other words, was withdrawn because the states must allow for the location to be used. In most cases, blind eye is turned. You see churches, there are missionaries, mosques go there, the Muslims and the Christians and pagans, and anyone is free to go there. However, they are assumed to be going there on non-political basis. But this one we have, how can you separate Peter Obi from politics? How can you separate Malema from politics? How can you separate Arikana Kwau from politics, Dr. Arikana? How can you separate Professor Lumumba from politics? They are in the middle of it. They are politicians. Now let's look at it this way. The position these people have in common is that all the leaders on the African continent are corrupt, bad, evil, and they want to replace them. That is the bottom line for what they are saying. They are the custodian, they've assumed and arrogated unto themselves the right to the custodianship of the African continent. And therefore, they are those believe unto themselves, arrogated the legitimacy to go to from country to country, go into political space to send their message. But there is a problem here, isn't it? The president of South Africa is looking at Malema quietly, very uncomfortable at the level Malema is going. But that is the right of Malema within South Africa. And why not? He's a member of parliament. Peter Obi is in Nigeria. Why not? He's Nigerian. He can do whatever he wants to do in Nigeria. Get your people together. If they will allow him to use the Asu Rock or the square they have to do his campaign, why not? Why not? Now, Professor Lumumba and Arikana Kwau, in their case, you can't identify a particular location of their concern, but they are political. Now, what do you think Tinubu will be calling the president of Ghana to ask him whether he's aware of? That my opposition leader, my opponent, the threat to my government in Nigeria, you are allowing him a space in Ghana to feather his nest. Oh, the president of South Africa, President, forgotten his name, what do you think he'll be doing? Yes, what do you think His Excellency the President of South Africa right now will be doing when it comes to Malema being encouraged in Ghana to stand on a platform and whip sentiment, the black sentiment against the President of South Africa? What do you think he'll be thinking? Ramaphosa. What do you think Ramaphosa will be thinking? Again, go down. Even the president of Kenya is worried. He's worried about how Lumumba is going about things. As for the lady in America, she, Dr. Chihumburi Kwau, Arikana Kwau, she's actually not a threat to Zimbabwean government. She's actually in cahoot with the Zimbabwean government. Yes, her problem is the African Union. Yes, you can see that's where her focus is, because she was dismissed for being excessively and extremely racist, black supremacist. That is not why the African Union was formed. African Union was not formed because of black people. African Union was formed for justice for all those on the African continent in relation to have a better relationship with the rest of the world. And that is why we form our ECOWAS. Now, why did we call this particular issue a political storm in a teacup? If you have problem with the so-called leaders and you think they are not delivering, and you strongly believe that the problem on the African continent is the leadership of each of the countries, that is what they are saying. What do? Fight in your country and be the leader there. If that is what you think, it's the problem. But we don't think that is the problem. And the president of Ghana have every right, it is his duty for the security of his nation and therefore his own security. He believes he's also a Pan-Africanist, and you guys have ganged up yourself together. God even know what you are. Are you communist? Are you capitalist? Are you socialist? And you are coming against those who are already in place. You end up on the stake. You are lucky. They will have allowed you to come in and shoot all of you. They can do it. Some strange people just come and shoot all of you, become martyrs. They finish. What these guys are doing is wrong. Why is it wrong? We have insisted and continue. That's why we say let's focus on ECOWAS. The rest will come. Like Nkrumah always say, seek ye first the political kingdom, and everything else, the economic and technological kingdom, shall come along with it. Malema is the one that give me the headache among all of them. Peter Obi, just following the political parties in Nigeria. Yeah, Peter Obi was a minister, was this, was that. We know what they all are. But he has never been a lawmaker. You can excuse Peter Obi. He's never been a lawmaker. I don't have any record to that effect, and I stand to be corrected. Peter Obi was not a lawmaker. So Peter Obi can claim, yes, he is looking at things from the position of the executive role as against the position of lawmaking. And in any nation, the institution of lawmaking is a very critical institution. If you want a change, and seriously, some of us, because of the way the continent is run, like the countries are run like gangsters, so we thought the position of the president is the most solid position. No, the position is in the lawmaking gallery, and that's what we call the parliament. You can excuse him. Arikana Kwau, I don't have, to the best of my knowledge, any instant where she has won any election. Anyway, it was, talking, too much talking, and whatever, and she ended up in the African Union. They push her there, maybe Zimbabwe push her there, whatever. And she talks very well. She too, I don't think I've ever won any political position, especially when you come to the. So she has been benefiting from the executive. The meaning of rule of law, what law means, doesn't mean anything to her. And as for our brother, Professor Lumumba, he also has not won any political seat. I don't know. People like him to talk. Our people are very good. They like you to entertain. You go and put yourself forward, it can be questionable. Yes. And sometimes, maybe they may not want him in the parliament of Kenya, because he was a director. He said it himself. Director against corruption, and he left corruption behind. So, in his case, we cannot say he's not a lawmaker, so his mind doesn't go to the rule of law, how laws are made. All he knows is that he will use his common sense to enforce the law. You cannot do that. You need to go through the lawmaking process. The executive is not the most powerful one in the democracy. In a democracy like the Peru leader said, that in a democracy, the president is like an emperor. What kind of nonsense is that? Emperor? No, in a democracy, the president is not like an emperor. The kind of democracy he's talking about is the democracy where the president becomes the dictator. That is the kind of democracy, and that's what he's doing in Peru. That is all. Is it Argentina? Yes, but I think it's Peru. Sorry for that circle. But what is important here is that this is the way most of these guys who have never occupied a legislative position think. They don't understand how law works. So they want Takashi. We call it Takashi. The next one, and that one that stands out, is Malema. Malema is a member of the South African Parliament. He's a lawmaker. He is a lawmaker. And Malema, he stands out. Juluis Malema, is also a member of the Pan-African Parliament. Yes, that man is totally different from the rest of them. Totally different. Why? And he's fighting from county to county within South Africa. When you listen to his speeches, this man understands the rule of lawmaking. However, he can't figure it out and connect it to the African continental challenge. Why? Because he is focused on South Africa, and that is his mission. For me, that is his mission. He will do better there. There are more problems in South Africa. Sit down in South Africa and address that problem. And we hope Malema win the next election, because he has started preparing himself. When you watch him, you say, wow, this man is going places. Well solid, really positioned. Maybe you get there, maybe not. And his extreme languages have started taking some shape. I like him. I like Julius. Seriously. Yes, I love him. However, these other three, they have question mark under them. That doesn't matter. What matters is the problem they are trying to deal with is the issue of law making. Malema in Midrand, South Africa, where they have the Pan-African Parliament, when the parliamentarians met, Malema stood on his feet and was telling the parliamentarians that were nominated, because they are not elected to go to that parliament. And that's where the problem is. Julius is not nominated. It's just like a talking shop. That's useless. It's just like the assembly of head of states in Addis Ababa. It's totally useless. It's useless because a legislature must get its mandate from the people he represents, not from a third party. It's impossible for that legislature to claim that I have a constituency. You don't have a constituency, Malema, in the Pan-African Parliament. Your constituency cannot be South Africa. No. Your constituency in as a leader of EFF in the Parliament of South Africa, your constituency, Brother Malema, it's very clear. If you don't win in that constituency, you can't go to parliament in South Africa. Why are you not winning in the same constituency so that you go for a constituency must be created for you to go to the Pan-African Parliament? If you are appointed, it's a favor. It reminded me of the time Jerry John Rawlings was the president of military president of Ghana. And he wanted to start looking at, getting the people involved. So what he did was he has, is it an assemblyman or something like that? And Rawlings was choosing them left and then right. Most of them are working there. You ask them, they say, well, we're choosing. If you are choosing by a leader, go and do something, you are an appendage of the executive arm and you are useless. You are totally useless. You do not have that free will, that sense of self-worth, that ability to have a brain. You are not considered to have a brain. You are just like a minister. A minister is appointed by the president, is answerable to the president. So if the parliament of your country, because you are a member of parliament, assign you to go to any parliament anywhere outside your country, it's like you are going to United Nations. You are still not a parliamentarian there. They can call you what they like. Can call it Pan-African Parliament or ECOWAS Parliament. You are wasting your time. In Ghana, the president decided to stop it because the line has been crossed. And we have a lot of people who have not taken their time to understand. And in Ghana, we have too many noisemakers. They are there. Hey, Pan-African events, what will unite Africa is coming to happen, and this bad president has gone ahead to terminate it, to stop it, to deny our Pan-African right. The president himself claims he's a Pan-Africanist. All of you are Pan-Africanists. So why do you have problem with him? You can't have problem with him. There is a kind of, can you imagine? Okay, today, right? The one from Nigeria, which is the neighbor to Ghana, not a bit far, is there, isn't it? The opposition leader is there. Then the one from South Africa, which is Malema, is also there, because Malema is as good as the opposition leader in South Africa, as we see things going now. Then you brought two other floating activists, Professor Lumumba and Dr. Arikana Kwau, and they came to have this tit-a-tat, isn't it? Tomorrow, they will go to Nigeria. Is that not true? Yes. In Nigeria, they may not invite Peter Obi, or they may invite Peter Obi there because he was in Ghana. But what they will do is that then President John Dramani Mahama will be invited to Nigeria. And Tinubu will be looking at him to come there. And Akufo-Addo will be worried that, are you not giving this man a platform there in Nigeria? Because Dr. Mahama will be the one to go. And tomorrow, if Mahama then win the election and he becomes the president of Ghana, it is Akufo-Addo or Bawumia they will invite to go and tell them something in Kenya in the name of Pan-Africanism. That doesn't wash. It will not work. It doesn't. I will not do it. I will have stopped it. I will stop it. Because you are, what this is doing now is bringing politicians to a certain level of creating a platform, especially for opposition leader, to advance their cause. The positive side is this opposition leader is going to deliver this speech, which can be considered as a good thing, is that they will be using that forum as a platform for selling their agenda across the African continent in this case. That if we win and we become the president of our country, this is what we are going to do. That is the positive side, if this should be allowed to happen. The negative side is that it will be because the president who is sitting there has not been invited. He's an opposition leader, but probably in another country. He was invited to go and deliver speech, like they do in Chatham House in London. They do it very well. Maybe it's a carbon copy of Chatham House trick
and they bring you to come. Well, before you go, you sign documents so that when you become president, you pay for being given a platform.
And maybe that's what they are trying to do. But the danger to this is the sitting president, will he also be invited? Yes, it should be fair play. No matter what. Or you are saying because a person is a sitting president, he's no more a Pan-Africanist. So there is a question here. For me, it's a very interesting subject. And I think we have looked at this subject in details. And a lot of you will have wake up to say, oh, we thought we are for this event that it's cancelled in Ghana. It's no more coming up. They say they are promoting the African culture. Well, they brought some people with some mask on their face, the bush life, and then those primitive things. Can't you even come with a big machine and say, oh, this machine will take us to space. When we win, that's what we're going to do. And it will create job for people. That's not what they are talking about. They bring people from the bush to go and then they made them wear masks in the name of Africa. And we wish them good luck. But as I have said, I hope your understanding of what happened and my analysis before you, as I place my discussion before your table, you will be the judge. And I'm sure your views, you start now looking at things that this is not about the president of Ghana or the hate against someone is against Pan-Africanism or not. But the reality is that that approach is not in the best interest of anyone. For me, what we need, and I think we need it at the level of ECOWAS, is that we need to find a way of putting pressure, and we are very busy doing that, especially within our countries. Put pressure so that the West African countries should be caught into constituencies for us to vote directly. That voice that we are looking for will come up. That is the voice we need. And that's why I call this approach a storm in the teacup, political teacup, because a political storm in the teacup. You have a whole continent, so is that how you'll be picking the one? But it doesn't work. Why don't you create capitalists or whatever? Social, create a forum for them. That EU election is coming up. It makes my heart beat ache every day. EU election is coming up. Can't we learn? Can't we see? Everyone in the world has started talking about June this year, June, EU parliamentary election. EU parliamentary election. Why can't we do that for our ECOWAS parliamentarians? A word to the wise. My ex-wife will say, is it enough? Thank you very much for being with me this way. And I hope you remember to subscribe to our channel. Also, like and share. More importantly, don't forget, we've not been seeing your comments. You can agree, you can disagree. Every comment is welcome, as long as we are not insulting each other. Please and please, let's engage. It must be two-way communication so that we will raise the bar and change the destiny we set out to change. On this note, I want to say thank you very much for being with us this far. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful time.